First off, I love this song. It speak volume because it's just like I didn't see the end part before, but now I see it. Um, they had something good, up until he introduced her to his friend. And that's the thing, they could have just been friends. But don't y'all think like that's what men do? Men implant this insecurity intentionally. Sometimes it's intentionally, sometimes it's just because they dumb. And when I mean by dumb, it's like they still in a player's world, player's game to where, this is all good. I know what I got, but I'm bored. So now I'm going to take things a little bit over the edge and I'm going to introduce you to my friend. And I know that my friend going to get to you. I know that, and that's just what it is. That smile was just like she was eating up this moment. His friend, this way she smiled, she was eating up that moment. He knew her girl felt some type of way. She knew his girl felt some type of way. It could have been that moment where, I got my cake and I'm gonna eat it too. I want my cake and I'm gonna eat it too. You got everything that you want. So what more is there? But that best friend to interfere with everything. Um, I just can't fathom the thought of them being best friends, but y'all not together. Why aren't y'all together? If I was in her place, his woman's place, I would be like, if this is your best friend, why is y'all not together? You know? And that's why that's a lot of respect that she moved on, off all that hurt and all that pain. I don't know if it was the idea of him being out with her on her birthday or that's what actually happened. Maybe this was she was thinking while she was making her birthday wish and she was over there at the table with the cake while they was over there and he was throwing money at girls' bodies and this and that. That's the thing. Like, I don't know if that actually happened or that's her idea of what happened while she was blowing out her candles, but the whole point was that she was alone. The one time I was just like, when I first seen this, I was so stuck on a part of, you need to respect me and her. That came out of his mouth, and he didn't even care, about how she felt about the situation. But at the same time, when we let down our guard as women and we be like, um, it's probably her, I'm uncomfortable around her. Boom, instantly they snap into that mode of, oh, it's always about you, women. Y'all always being jealous of each other, you know. So that's what snapped into his mind as soon as that happened, because that's just repetitive behavior that has become normalized. We have normalized that, that impression of us, or that part of us that is jealous of the other woman. So they take that and they snatch that up and they use it against us as if we were the bad person. Even if we don't really truly believe that, we just throw something out there to, easily express how we feel to them. And sometimes we go back into that conditioned mindset of, oh yeah, that's the only way he gonna understand is that if I throw this phrase out there and then he'll know exactly where we are or exactly how I feel. But that's belittling ourselves. I feel like sometimes we need to take away that part of our mind that's telling us, oh yeah, it's the other girl, before we even go ahead and throw that out there, because it has become a habit of throwing that out there. So we need to stop throwing that out there, and we need to just say exactly what we feel on our heart, exactly how we feel on our mind. Because if we do this, then they can't just easily take it and run with it. They got to gnaw on it a little bit. They got to really chew on it and really dissect it and really just be like, hold up. I never I never heard her say that before. I really gotta think about what you just said. Like, you gotta give these men something to gnaw on. You can't just throw out something that they can quickly take, like a dog to the bone. Something that they can easily take. They gotta really, think about what you said, and it won't be so easy for them to just let it go. But yeah, that's a lot. That was very hard because I could see how strong this relationship was, and then all of a sudden, that's what I don't understand is like all of a sudden it gets to this point where, okay, so the other woman came into the relationship, but if it was so strong and it was everything, and y'all both felt the same way, how was it so easy to just drop what we had or what she had or what they had for another woman, a best friend? Why not include her in everything that y'all doing if you really care about that woman? Um, so yeah, but obviously men do get bored, and that's another thing. It's just like, how can you really trust yourself in a situation or trust yourself in a relationship with these men, because you know that they get bored, and for them not to get bored, a lot of women, we have to change our persona, we have to change ourselves, we have to come up with this style, come up with that style, and we can't just be content. We can't just bask in who we are every single day. Just like we get tired of our hair, we get tired of our clothes, we get tired of our style, we get tired of our body, and we feel like we got to change. We have normalized this behavior. So it's just like, just think of how you want to change so much, is that's the same way that this man wants. He wants that change. He wants some type of, a shift. Like, he wants something different because you get bored. But just think about it. If you didn't want change and you were a woman or a man of contentment that actually liked everything the way it was all the time, you wasn't used to change, you wasn't brought up in a lifestyle of change, and you just changed this part of your mind to where, you know what, I don't want change, I just want everything to remain the same, then that's what you'll get. And then, there's nothing to get bored of. So it's just that this is that type. This conversation can go on long, 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 because it's just like trying to dissect and really get to a man's mind is just like trying to get to a part of you that's way in the back of your subconscious. Like, it's like going down a rabbit hole, So it's just like this man, you know why can't we see life as not about a person or change in another person? Like, oh yeah, this woman, this is my woman, but then all of a sudden, oh my gosh, I never seen that woman before. It's like seeing this new toy or this new, like, we're so objectified, like we're not enough. It's like they're still in a little child mind, their childlike mind, like, oh my gosh, I never seen this man before, or I never seen this woman before. Because some women do think like men, and so I can't always just say, oh yeah, like, um I'm gonna say it from a different perspective as well. So, like, oh yeah, I never seen this man before. Oh yeah, I never seen this woman before. Oh my gosh, like, I need to, or hold on. So I'm trying not to get off topic. So they say they never seen these people before. So then, this person before. So they feel like, oh yeah, I know what I got over here, but I don't know what I got over there. So I need to explore, you know? And it can go so many ways. Like, you can want to explore this person And from you holding yourself back from exploring this person is shifting your perspective of, I want to explore something new. I want to explore something new. Like, I want to go here. I want to go there. And you're never content. You can't just be where you're at because some part of you is unsatisfied. You're not satisfied. So it can go that way. But then it can go that way, but then it can go another way, because it can go like, okay, so just like him. So this person wasn't new. This person was old. So basically, he's reverting back to his past. So it's just like he got his future right here. He got what, and we don't know if this is future, but we got what he got what he got right here. But sometimes men can get fearful of where this is headed. And some men can be like, oh yeah, I know exactly where this is going. Eventually we're about to have babies. This about to be a family. They probably already married. So it's just like, I already know what this life is about. So I'm going to go ahead and cause some commotion, cause some waves in this ocean, because I want to stir something up to where I gotta really see if it is what it is. Even if it's obvious that it is what it is, you gotta see something more. It has to be something more. So you go back into the past and you dip your hands in you know, some old stuff, and you bring, some skeletons in the past, and you bring those skeletons to your current situation, and you don't think this girl gonna get scared of that skeleton? She'll be like, hold up, what is this? What is this? Whoa, like, duh. So that's kind of the scenario. Um, but yeah, it's like, when you want to explore a lot, it gives off the wrong impression in relationships. Um, but when you're single and you're alone and you have nothing to prove and you can just be you, and this is when you kind of do want to explore. You're that person that do want to explore, and you're that person that don't want to explore. You're that person that wants to just experience life for what it is. I'm that person that wants to experience life for what it is. I don't really care to go anywhere, but if I do, I would appreciate that. I would definitely appreciate every single experience you know, that's presented to me, that I have the opportunity to experience everything. And if that person is with me, then we can experience it together. But that's the thing about relationships, is like, you can't, that's what a person is, and that's how a person should be. So when you get with somebody and you're like, I'm good, but, you know, if there's more to it, then, they don't really care too much about that, if they really are for each other and if each other is enough. But like I said, speaking from single mindset and then a mindset of relationships, it's two different things. You can't, there's really no comparison on how life should be. You just got that another person there with you. And I don't know, because both ways can be fortunate. And that's why I feel like she came to this conclusion. And that's why she got the strength to leave. It takes this type of mindset to actually leave that relationship, because she has been broken. She has been torn. She was like, I can't take this anymore. I need to get out of here. And she got out of there. And he didn't think she was going, it's what, what's predictive? What's predictive is that he came back thinking that she was there with flowers in his hand, what's unpredictable is that she was actually gone. So that's the thing. A lot of women would still be there. A lot of women would still be holding on, but it takes for a strong woman that actually knows what she's worth, not who she deserves, but what she's worth. Know that there's so much more to life than a single man. And it takes a strong woman of faith, of God, to actually step out and leave and walk away. Any of my relationships, have I experienced that? No, I haven't. But I didn't. I didn't get. Well, I didn't. I didn't realize this until I was out of my relationship. When I was out of my relationship, then I realized this. But to walk away so strong-hearted, so willingly, it wasn't for the same reason. I walked away from some relationships, but it wasn't for, oh yeah. I always cut it off before it got to that point because I know I love hard. And I love so hard to the point where I have to cut it off because I know I'm going to be torn and broken down if I allow myself to experience you breaking my heart for another person. So I always I cut that part off before it even gets to that point because, like, I'm a person where I'm a Gemini. Let's just say that. Everybody knows what a Gemini is, so I'm going to just use Gemini. I'm a Gemini to where I can feel when something is about to happen. I'm very aware of the person, just like I am aware of my environment, just like I'm aware of my home. I'm observant. I can see, and I can, you're like, I won't say you're transparent, but I can make the situation transparent by all of my experience that I've been through. So it's just like, okay, I can see it before it comes, before it happens, because I know my experiences. I know what relationships are. I know how people act in relationships, you know, just like she throwing out all these accusations, but it's like a gut feeling. I know that something is going a different way. I can tell by the way you move. And before we even get to that point, before you get the chance to even move a certain way on me, I peep it as soon as you make that first step, and I'm like, boom, I can't. I already know where this going, and I let it go just like that because, like I said, I know my heart and I know me, and I will never put myself through something so traumatic, in regards to another person breaking my heart, a person breaking my heart for another person. So yeah, that was a good video, y'all. Check it out. Like, comment, subscribe, be notified, share at your own free will to show you care. And I'll talk to y'all next time. Bye.